call the meeting to order. Mike, you got the cameras rolling? Okay, good. Just a quick roll call on who's all here. We've got 5, so that's a quorum. Good. You got a note taker? Tom, you taking notes tonight? Okay, good. Meeting agenda review. I guess we're called order of our Pledge of Allegiance, so everybody that can stand up. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So first item on our agenda, public comments on the agenda items themselves. Anybody have any questions or comments on what we're planning to do tonight?
Is this the opening comment section on everything that's being covered?
Pretty much, yes.
I like to start by addressing the original security amendment. Want to go over there? That's fine. I don't care.
Yeah, let's do that. Thank you.
It'll be short. Actually, my notes are short. I've addressed previously, both before the Planning Commission and Board of Supervisors, reference to the Wrigley curative amendment. I've talked about the reasonableness. What is reasonable in Lancaster might not be reasonable in Jackson or in Cranberry. I've talked about community standards, what our ordinance say and how they're set up, how they're different than other townships. And just because one township decides to do something doesn't mean our township has to do the same thing. I remember as a child, my neighbor jumped off the roof. My parents told me that wasn't a wise thing to do, so we shouldn't be doing that. I talked about the use of your moral compass, doing the right thing, taking the hard road, not necessarily the path of least resistance. And I've even addressed the Chevron doctrine, which was overturned by the Supreme Court recently. I like to say, what is a curative amendment? And its title itself tells you it's curative. Why is it? What does it do? It corrects a deficiency. It corrects an ambiguity. It addresses discrepancies in logic. An example would be a triplex unit. You can't have a side yard for the unit because it's on a wall. And that makes sense. So you would cure that part of the amendment, that part of the ordinance. Nothing else in the ordinance requires being curative. Changing the frontage on the property is not curative. And it doesn't apply. So it's only for those ideas. Change the ordinance to meet the desires of the developer when these changes are not in the best interest of the community. Is not what you guys are here for. You're not here to turn a profit for a developer. You're here to preserve our community and take proper care and do stewardship of our community. So remember this. A curative amendment is only there to correct, and this word cure, errors in a ordinance. And these frontages are not an error in the ordinance. You don't need to watch a stopwatch. I'll be done before my 5 minutes are up. This is brings me to the last point of listening. At the last supervisors meeting, the solicitor mentioned that the supervisors listen to the community. They listen, but do you hear what we're saying? Don't just listen, hear what the people are saying to you. There's nobody as deaf as the person who refuses to hear. I thank you very much.
Any other opening comments or remarks?
I just wanted to say one thing. I think we need to really think about the flooding that's going to happen on this stuff. Every time a development is built, we flood downstream. You know, and it's getting worse, you know, and just, I think people need to think about this, you know. We're not helping the people in the towns, you know, it's getting worse. Let's fix that problem first before we start, keep on building.
Both of you make good points. Thank you.
One last thing, one entrance, one exit for 124 or 90 or whatever is ridiculous. It's a safety hazard for everybody. Not only the people traveling through, but the people that are gonna be living there.
And making a wide entrance, we have an entry and exit at the same point, doesn't qualify as two entrances. I mean, let's face it, that's trying to flood down the roof. They need to be separated by a reasonable distance.
Okay. Anybody have any comments on what was just told to us?
Sure.
I agree with you. I'm just not sure there's a whole lot we can do at this point. We're bound by the actual ordinances. I know the one ordinance says 1,000 feet of depth. And I think that was one of the things that they came in for a curative amendment on, was the lot sizes. And that's the township ordinance right now. I think we would lose in court. I really do. For townhomes, I don't think it will go through.
At the supervisor's meeting, I cited several instances of where the township was sustained in their position on curative amendments. And I stated numerous cases that were Pennsylvania case law. And I don't have that information with me now, but it shows that we were exonerated and the curative amendment fell to the side in favor of the township, not the petition.
Mike?
Does the ordinance actually say the lots have to be 1,000 feet? I don't believe it says that.
No, it doesn't.
I think you're assuming.
It says they have to have a square footage.
If you build a townhouse the size of that easy,
Right.
then, yeah, you're gonna have probably 2,000 feet wide.
Build your townhouse wider.
That's huge.
The lot doesn't need to be as deep.
And I know we've discussed this before, but I mean, those ordinance, when we drew this up many years ago, we weren't expecting people to build townhouses that are considered small in New York City. 20 foot is considered very small in New York City. And actually, that's the smallest I think they go. This is New York City.
I mean, you're talking about a house that's half the width of this building.
The ordinance actually currently states 20,000 square feet per unit.
I understand, yeah. And the idea was we brought 24-foot wide garage, 6 feet for, man, or whatever. I mean, I think that was the original discussion we were talking about.
So almost a double unit, not a double unit, but the size of a double unit for a single.
Well, if you're gonna make it, but actually the 30-foot wide unit is considered large in New York City, if you look at the statistics, so 20 foot is considered small in New York City. And that's what I think that's what it's, at least that's what it's stated.
And what were the supervisor's views on the lots?
I believe, even the planning commission came up with 2,800, I believe, square feet, instead of 20,000. I understand, I don't know anybody that has a 20,000 square foot house, let alone a townhouse. So I think that's where,
20,000 square foot house.
pardon?
We're not talking the size of the house is 20,000.
That's exactly what the ordinance says, 20,000 square feet per unit.
That's not the size of the house.
That's not the size of the house.
No, that's per unit. That's what our ordinance says.
Okay, word addition that they're saying, right? I mean, because obviously it's not 20,000 for the townhouse. I thought it said 20,000 for the house.
Per unit.
Okay.
I think that's the curative aspect of it.
Yes.
Up to
It's
date.
20,000 per
That would
unit.
definitely be true. Yeah.
That was the challenge of the,
And the sign.
one for 20,000 square feet.
Yeah.
So between the last time and this time, I have gotten feedback from others wanting to change the driveway to 30 feet, the 2 entrances that were mentioned, things like that. I'll try to address some of them with the 30-foot driveway length. If you look at a 50-foot right-of-way, you have a 12-foot wide lane, you have 2 12-foot wide lane, so we'll just go on one side, 12-foot wide. You got a 2-foot curb, 2-foot strip of grass, and a 5-foot sidewalk. That comes to 21 feet to the sidewalk. So you have, and then you have another 4 feet still in the right of way, and then from there you have your 25-foot driveway. So that gives you 29 feet of driveway, almost 30 feet. Okay, so that dimension is closer to what we think would be more reasonable. So I can't see us changing that from what's already on there, because we're actually getting what we wanted just by the width of the right of way and those dimensions.
So, go through those numbers again for me.
Okay, so the right of way is 50 feet,
Right.
right? Okay, and so the roadway is 2 12-foot lanes. So if we go from the center line, we've got a 12-foot lane.
Sure.
Okay, then we have a 2-foot curb, we have a 2-foot strip of grass, and then we have a 5-foot sidewalk, okay? And that comes to 21 feet. And from center line to the end of the right of way is 25. So that gives us an additional 4 feet of grass, which would be right of way, probably put utilities through there, perhaps water line, sewer line or something in that 4-foot right of way. But that gives you an extra 4 feet on the driveway, which then becomes 25 feet from the right of way to the house.
Now, is that 25, does that include the sidewalk in that? Or
No, the sidewalk's already covered.
Okay, okay. I got you, okay. Okay.
So we get 29,
We're close.
we're close. Okay.
Okay.
And one of the things I was thinking of, and I've heard this from others, is when you start adding additional length of driveway, all of a sudden now people are trying to park 2 cars in there. You've made it bigger for a pickup truck, which doesn't need all that space, and now you've got 2 SUVs and they can fit 2 in there and still block the sidewalk. So we've got to be careful on that setback distance and these kind of housing plans. We're gonna have to look at that. I think 25 feet driveway does work, okay?
Now, I do have a question, and probably nobody knows that. Over the weekend, I drove through a couple of those townhouse new developments, Seneca Hills. I don't know if that's a 25-foot. You think it's only 50? Because it is crowded. I mean, it looks.
Seneca is 30.
Seneca Hills is 30?
Yeah.
So that's about what we see.
I call it corner.
Okay.
I recommend that.
That's 30 feet?
Yeah,
From the house to the road or the driveway to the sidewalk?
the driveway to the sidewalk.
To the inside of the sidewalk, Tommy, or to the outside of the sidewalk?
I got an email about it. It's 30 feet, 30-foot drive.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody has driven through Arden, we just actually did that today on the way here, but I just wanted to see. And we did see many trucks inside, and then the big SUVs, we didn't see any vehicle that was anywhere close to the sidewalk.
Yeah, that's 25 foot, right? So, yeah. And I lived there, and what seems a little squishy is the single homes, because their porch is right with the driveway, so you have hardly any yards. It looks really tight, but for the ranch homes, we have a setback, with our porch. I think 25, getting the 30s.
We got additional 4 feet of right of way. Looks like they're probably gonna see water line or sewer line, utilities of some sort. It's still, the property side of the sidewalk. But that gives you-
the sidewalk.
Gives you extra space, so I think that works out. As far as the double entrances, we do not require that right now. Dawn, did you guys agree to put in what they call a boulevard? Is that?
I think the land development plan is still pending. So this is subject to your review and comments. I would point out that this is in the access overlay district. And one of the standards in that is to limit the number of access points on Route 19. So it's kind of interesting because everybody wants to follow the ordinance. But now that that's not convenient for the argument to stop something, they suddenly don't care about the ordinance. Because the whole purpose of the overlay district is to limit the number of curb cuts on Route 19. So we limited the number of curb cuts to one. The prior plan that was approved on here for the truck terminal had one. So it works. It's already received a PennDOT highway occupancy permit, I believe. So it's permitted for a single access given the number of vehicles that come out of it, and it complies with your ordinance. You know,
Okay,
That's what we should
Yeah.
be working with.
so we are working on new ordinances to improve that, but right now it's not there. I think those were the two big things that I had down. Oh, the density, the other thing was the density. People would ask me questions about, can we, reduce the density? I think the current curative amendments, the 3.25 per acre. I think at one point I saw 3.5. People would like to see 3. I think our new amendment, our new ordinance is going to say 3, but I think 3.25 is not unreasonable.
Yeah, and I think the planning commission at their meeting, actually approved 4, which is what they requested. The supervisors did say 3.25.
How many acres is, because I've heard 35, I've heard 38, that
38.
makes, it is 38.
38.
So one thing before we vote on this, we still have a little ways to go, but I would like to read general limitations on adding requirements. I pulled this off the internet. I think it applies to our township. General limitations and adding additional requirements to the code. I'm not going to read it all, but I'll read the main points. Amendment must address the defect, not redesign the entire system. Additions must be narrowly tailored. You cannot increase burdens beyond what is necessary. The amendment must remain consistent with governing statutes. Cannot create new legal defects. Procedural limitations still apply. Intent cannot be punitive. So, there's a lot of bullets below those, but really kind of, hamstrung. I would like to be able to put a lot of the things we're building into our new ordinances on this new plan. But I don't think we can. Just legally we can't. Mike?
So Solicitor May, I think she pointed this out last time. I don't think it's the planning commission's job to add or remove curative amendment. Your job is to advise the board of supervisors. With that being said, you can advise anything you want, such as our future PRD, because the developer does keep running up our old PRD. You could state our future PRD. We're planning on having 2 entrances for no more than, I forget what you guys decided, 40 homes, is that what you guys, the commission agreed on? And you do your set, you do whatever you want, you can say everybody's house needs to be painted for photos, I believe, is that correct? And they have, I think I wouldn't be wise, but I mean, that is their job as an advisory board, to advise, they're not to amend it, that's the supervisor.
You have to make a recommendation as to what they believe is appropriate and pursuant to Pennsylvania law.
But the gray area for me on that is I thought about it, because I like that idea, at least make them aware. But should we be recommending things we know we can't do? That's what it comes down to. I don't want to recommend to the supervisors that we should do all these things when in reality we can't. The solicitor come back and say time out. Then we look bad as a planning commission.
Right, you're responding to what is in front of you, right? You can't, you're already in the process of your big comprehensive overhaul, where you will take all of that into consideration.
That is the planning commission's call.
So if we could do that, I think I would like to, I would certainly pursue it. Given the kind of the confines of what we have, I don't want to make recommendations that either A or legal, B, they can't do. All right. Any other public comments? I think we had a good discussion here. The rest of that should go a little faster.
Just for clarity, when you say 3.25, you talk like 3.25 townhouses, or are you talking building 3.25 buildings that have like 3 or 4 units, or what do you?
Tom, do you want to answer that so you get it right? I
It
get it.
is the number of doors, so it's density. If it was a house, it could be a townhouse, it's not the building of the townhouse, but the actual unit. So if it's a 6-unit townhouse or a 4-unit townhouse, it's individual units is what factors into the 3.25.
So if it's a 4-unit, townhouse, they can only have 3.25 for that acre, is what you're saying.
Per acre on the overall site.
Gross acres.
Gross acreage, yeah.
Okay.
So they take into account the entire property, areas where there's wetlands, areas where there's roadways, everything. But that is the limit.
Okay, thank you.
And if my math is correct, that's, if it's 38 acres,
38.587.
Was there a definitional change too? Multifamily, was that added?
There were terminology changes. When you get into that segment of your agenda, there were a few terminology issues that we have to be consistent with the ordinance, and you have backing in your ordinance of what that really is representative. So we can get into that and dive into that.
how many townhouses are you proposing in this?
I believe it was 120 or 24.
Those are the paper. What reading?
You're doing math in public again, Bill. I don't like to do that.
3.25 times 38.587, I think.
124.
Huh?
Close enough. One thing you put a
It's
fraction.
125.
So you meet that criteria. All right, any more public comments? Thank you for your input. Seriously, I think these discussions are good. I like doing this. Planning Commission administrative items, I think we talked about some of them already, and the only other one's already on our new business agenda, so we can skip over that. Oh, I did have a question. So Steve, from last meeting, suggested that we consider increasing the fees, and I don't think we can do that, but I did tell him I'd follow up on it. I was just wondering, Tom or Sylvia, how do we go about conveying that to the supervisors? They probably read it in the meeting minutes because they're in there, but is there anything we can do to further that?
Once the minutes are approved, the supervisors will review those. That is a negotiated item as part of the developer's agreement. So whenever any development comes in, that item gets negotiated. There isn't a statute or a law that would dictate what that fee is. There's potentially, you could enact an impact fee ordinance and establish that fee by ordinance, but then you're restricting where those fees go to based on the improvements that the impact study tells you where those improvements need to be. So if it's something on Scott Ridge Road, for example, the developer comes in, your impact fee study says, hey, we're going to charge each developer $4,000 per house for this. It may be limited to then a signal at Route 19 and Scott Ridge Road. You can't pick and choose where that money goes, whereas what the supervisors have done in the past is negotiated that as part of the developer's agreement to dictate how those monies can be used, which is typically for the park or road improvements.
And rather than set one fee, it's negotiable because one developer may have 100 acres and another developer may have 25.
Correct.
And setting that same one size fits all fee may not really cover the cost of the township's involvement to oversee what's going on.
So again, you can't dictate what it is, you have to negotiate what that is.
So that the $2,000 fee that Steve quoted would probably came from where? Maybe the
That
last
was
one
from Martin Wood Development and their developers.
And in what year would that be?
It was covering all 7 phases, so it carried through, so 2016, I think, is probably when it started to work through until the final phase.
And it was every time they got a building permit, right?
It was based on the building permit.
And that was that was 2,000 per house?
2,000 per door, so if it was a duplex.
Oh, per door, okay.
Two of those, if it's, basically, when the building permit comes in, depending on the style, like, for example, if you're doing a townhouse and they have 6 units, that would be 6, you get 1 building permit, but that fee would be applied per door.
Okay.
And to do an actual impact fee, it's over $100,000 to do the study. And doesn't the study have to be redone like every?
Updated every 3 years, and so you could spend a lot of money and not have a development come in, and the township's out all those funds.
And the money you do get has to go to specific things that are
Very
impacted.
specific based on where that development is and where the need is. It doesn't, and that's the downside of that program, so.
So, I'm sorry, Matt, go ahead.
Go on, did the fees then go to a general fund? Did you say, or?
Depends on how it's written. So, for example, in Arden, it went to either the park or the road fund. It could only be used for those 2 items.
That's it?
Correct.
I was just thinking, these water impacts we're hearing about a lot. Maybe some kind of fees, so that we put it into some kind of water management.
Right.
Protection.
So we could suggest to the supervisors an increase in the impact fee, but we really don't want to make that an ordinance. Is that?
Yeah, you really can't, I mean, you can create the impact fee, but again, it's not gonna be as good as you think it's gonna be.
Okay.
It's gonna certainly help out when an improvement is needed, but it's only gonna help that improvement at that location, depending on where the radius of that cluster of what's gonna be impacted and where the people are gonna get to and how they're gonna get there.
And couldn't it show some places where there is no impact fee, because there might not be,
There may not
that
be
may not
a
show
need.
that there will be an impact?
Correct, there
Is
may
that
not, right, there may not be, if something happened on Whitestown, there may not be enough of an improvement that there's a problem to solve with that. So you may make an intersection wider, you may take, a bend that's in the roadway, if something happened on Stone Church Road, you may have improvements to take the bend and make it less of a restriction, but that's gonna be an improvement, so. And so it doesn't really help everybody in the township. It helps solve an issue that you may have. You may have curves or sight distance issues. You can fix those problems based on those specific needs, but it wouldn't be carried out. You can say, hey, let's just put this in the general fund and use it for something.
Mike, I have a question for our solicitor. I think you understand the intent of what they're trying to portray. Is there some way we could try to help people then? Is there something that we can do legally in the negotiations other than an impact fee, or per door fee, that would not be an impact fee, so the study's not involved, it would just be part of the negotiations?
That's what you do now? What, the?
And that's what we do
The
now.
negotiated,
I'm just thinking.
You're saying, is there something else?
Well, I'm just saying what the intent is right now, I think, is to get a per door fee, whether it's for stormwater runoff, whether it's additional seal valves, the top of the road, whatever the case may be.
Off the top of my head, no, but I will look at some of our other municipalities and see if there are any fees that might apply, that we could establish via ordinance, just to, everybody out there is trying to look to make some more money.
Right.
And if we can make money from developments, it's always a good thing, so. I'll take a look.
Thanks for making
Yeah,
recreation.
you mentioned, per door fee. What happens when you have a common entrance to multiple units? You only have 1 door fee and you have 3 units.
I don't think it applies to the number of.
Well,
Well,
so you say per
the number of
door fee, somebody gets clever, they could say, okay, we're gonna put a hallway in, and we have 1 entry door, and everybody uses that 1 entry door like an apartment building. And you only get 1 entry door fee per apartment.
Yeah, those are negotiated, so if you did have an apartment,
Well, the thing is, we have to take that into consideration.
that's why you do it for each development. If you had a development that had an apartment that had 24 units in it, then you may say that fee is times 24.
Well, yeah, but then can't say it's a per door fee.
It's
So
not,
we have to watch the language we use, so we don't get ourselves caught in a situation where somebody clever enough to figure out to bypass it.
the developer's agreement is very specific. It doesn't say per door, it It's just how it's written, but that's how we explain it, so it's
Okay.
better.
Just want to make sure we're clear.
I have one other question on, I don't know how to, is there a certain amount of people that can be using the residence, a townhouse? And here's what I'm talking about. A friend of mine lives down in Peters Township, lives in a townhouse. The townhouses are owned by Mullineaux Carpet, say, own 6 townhouses. They rent them out. He's the only person in his townhouse. A couple of the other ones have like 8 or 10 Mexicans living in there. The one has like, I don't know, a bunch of family. Anyhow, I guess, I'm not against townhouses at all, don't get me wrong, but I don't think we want, can we stipulate how many people can?
I assume your ordinance has a number of unrelated people that can live in a single dwelling unit, whether that be a townhouse, an apartment, a single family home. Because there could be some big families living in a single family home. And there could be a bunch of unrelated people that live in a single family home. So it's not a townhouse issue, it's
It's just in general. I have municipalities that have that problem in a variety of issues, not just townhouses and homes. And isn't there something in the IPMC in regard to that? Because a lot of times when my people were citing them for code violations, if they have too many people in a house or too many, unrelated.
Okay.
So, not sure if that's for now, but it is something that absolutely we can enforce.
Okay, I just,
But I don't know your ordinance well enough, but
Yeah.
most of the ordinances have,
How many?
you can't have more than X number of unrelated people living in a single home.
Yeah, I live in
Off the
Arkwood.
top of your head.
I don't think we do.
We probably should.
Okay. I live in Arkwood and it's covered under our HOA.
I'm pretty sure.
We're not allowed to
I
rent
recommend
our
you.
units. And we can only have supposedly like relative and people stay for a short period of time. It's not, and it's regulated by, at the HOA level, not so much a building code or something like that. Standard.
so I didn't know if tonight we address that, but it's something that,
Well,
I think it needs to be addressed.
While we're reviewing our ordinance, absolutely.
As Bob was saying the other night, it's not what we have in there, it's what we don't know about and forget to add.
Well, and I never thought about that until I had a shoot track with the guy that was talking, and
Bringing it up
And,
whenever is a good thing because we'll remember.
he said, there's 10 living into one. He said, it's like $300 a piece. They're loving it.
Well, in our township too, I think we have the actual other concern of having so many septic systems. So if you have, 15 people living in a house, that septic system may not be designed for that many people.
So, like I said, this may not be the time, but I think it's something in here.
One more question, good question. So the solicitor, again, sorry to keep picking on you tonight. Did you say it's already in the MPC?
IPMC. I believe in some of my places, I have a municipality that there's a large group of individuals from another country and they like to roast big goats on the lawn. And they're not related, and I'm pretty sure we cited them under whatever code we had adopted. I think it's the IPMC. And that's how we went after them and sort of broke that up.
I was just curious.
Yeah, we could take a look, but again, I agree with Mr. Graham, that a lot of places also have, ordinance specifying, how many.
Which I don't believe we did. I think
Well, we should
so.
look at that, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing anything on the.
Okay, good discussion. I think I learned something tonight. Next item on the agenda is review of our minutes, the meeting minutes from the last two meetings. Find those here real quick. Our meeting minutes from Tuesday, November 11th. Did everyone from the planning commission have a chance to review those? Anybody have comments? Changes, corrections?
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from October 28th, 2025.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor? minutes from Tuesday, October 28th. Everybody have a chance to look at those?
Yes.
I move to accept. So I've got a motion.
I second that.
Second motion. All in favor to approve? Aye. Okay. The Tuesday, October 28th, just for everybody's awareness, and Tom captured this, the discussion about data centers. I think that was a good one to bring up, Colin, and thank you for that. I'm not sure it was on my radar screen, but there's so much gas around here, it just seems like electricity is where it really comes from. I think they're gonna pick data centers based on where they can get energy. And they have so much here.
They're picking on rural communities where they think they can overthrow easily the community and the government. There's a lot of NDAs involved, there's major issues going on in Big Beaver right now, because they quickly changed an ordinance on September 16th to where the 200 acres are for the racetrack, to change it from industrial to industrial permit data centers under special regulations without any kind of public hearings or anything. And then on October 1st, it was announced the track was on for sale. There's all kinds of NDAs involved. Okay. And it's ugly. It's real ugly right now because of that. Because they're going through and they're buying up all these properties on NDAs. They're throwing astronomical amounts of these people. And then there's other people that own like Miser Meadows, and the company where that is.
Sure.
Okay, so they own another 200 acres between the track and Route 376. They went in on September 16th as well, because that's zone is commercial too, and asked and begged them to change that as well, behind the scenes, to data centers.
Wow.
As well as they're going down the road, all the way down, also the turnpike, they're trying to buy a bunch of the properties too.
My company, I work for an engineering company.
I'm sorry?
I work for an engineering company, large company, we work on data centers.
Yeah.
And they're over $100 billion in data centers.
Okay, so I work for GE Verona, okay, power conversion and storage.
Yeah.
I will read to you what we were told at a global meeting.
Well, before you do that, I'm just not sure it's
Yeah,
really
we should try to
pertinent
vote
for our meeting tonight. I just wanted to
Okay,
thank
I was
Colin's
just gonna tell
attention.
you about the power source on that. They're expected to add approximately 500 terawatt hours of additional electricity demand by 2030. That's terawatt, that's not,
It's doubling the power of
yeah,
the US.
yeah. So that's, and then, the average one uses over 1 gallon of water a day.
Anyhow, we're gonna be adding something in on data centers here because.
Solar power.
I gotta ask, it's sad I gotta ask this, Mr. Chairman.
I don't know anything about data centers.
Read my mind, it's scary.
Never had anything to do with it.
So you haven't had any experience?
No.
Nobody in your phone?
No.
Oh, wow.
But we have been talking about that too at the planning commission meeting, because you brought it up a long time ago too, Connie.
Bitcoin mining.
About adding it to our ordinances.
It should be, to me, if you're gonna permit it, it should be industrial only and conditional use, nothing else.
Yeah.
Because of the noise that comes out of those and the electricity and how it damages property values.
Because my concern also was that, and I know this isn't the proper time, but my concern also was, I know I've read where a lot of them have the generators that they have outside.
Yes.
Right,
And that's where a lot of noise
That's
comes from.
well, the noise comes from the board towers too.
Anyway, sorry.
It's a complex
We get into
issue.
it.
No, it's fine, like I said, it's
Yeah, we need to be
good,
ready.
it's a good discussion. All right, so we covered both the review of the minutes, now we'll move on to new business. The Wrigley 19 LCC curative amendment ordinance. It's not the application, this is the ordinance. This is the curative amendment ordinance that we've been looking at. And I know the planning commission and Butler gave some comments. I believe their comments were terminology, is that correct, Tom?
Originally, they had some terminology issues, because of the definitions in the ordinance and your uses in your zoning code of what was allowed where. They didn't quite line up perfectly, it was the implied uses, so we had made some changes to the ordinance, sent it back to the county, and their latest letter came back and they had no comments. So those were addressed, to sort of define, there wasn't much of a, clarification, but a word here, a word there, then matches to your permitted uses in your code, in your definitions, so that those are correct.
So the supervisors are good with what was proposed, kicked it back to us because of the comments from the
Those
county.
terminology changes.
Plan.
And the density was clarified.
We'll clarify that, so we're just voting on, recommending changes.
Essentially 4 words, adequately placed somewhere in the density clarification.
And, so, can I get a motion to approve, table, or decline?
Joel? That was just a word, right?
That's it.
Just the words, multi-family.
Clarifying the density.
Clarifying the density. It was, density, I don't believe was in the last, but we did call it out.
Next item.
We start.
I think we did it.
Somebody has to do something here.
No, there's no motion, you can either, if you're following Robert things order, there's no motion, a second, no discussion, you gotta move on.
I'll make a motion to approve it, because it's a language change that really kind of bound by terms of the period amendment.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
So then what is the next step for this, the public hearing?
There, it goes back to, since it was referred back to Butler County Planning Department and the Planning Commission, there will be a public hearing at 6 o'clock on the 15th during the regularly scheduled meeting. It will be advertised both for the public hearing and intention to adopt that same evening.
Okay, so this, the hearing will just be on the period of agreement. They have not put a plan in front of us yet.
No, I was simply
Do
fixing
they have to
the
do
impact.
that in a certain length of time now?
They have submitted a plan.
Oh, they
We have
have.
not heard of that.
Okay,
So yeah, there is a time limit, but they have given us an extension.
okay.
Once the ordinance is approved and enacted, then that plan can be reviewed based on that. You'll see that at some later meeting.
And no point
So
in them
that
bringing a
won't be
plan.
at a workshop meeting, it'll be at a.
It'll be at a regular schedule.
Regular schedule.
And then they're all scheduled.
When we see those plans, are they available to the public also?
Mhm.
Posted on the website perhaps?
I don't know if we've done that, but I can check on that.
I think we should.
I mean, you can certainly recommend that to the board as well. I mean, it's not my call,
Mhm.
you know, but I can check on that for you.
It's the easiest way to get it to most people. They can always come up to the township and review the drawings, but making it available.
So Tom, whenever we see that, can we make, at that time, we can make recommendations to the supervisors, what some things like, that
So-
entrance and exits and.
So you're gonna, so when that plan comes in, we'll review it based on your ordinances.
Okay,
At that point, when you review it, you can make any recommendation that's maybe outside of your order. You want, this or that put in, you can make those suggestions or questions to the developer to see if they want to do something that's in addition to what your ordinance would require.
okay.
So if there's issues that we see that it's questionable issues or more than one entrance or turning lane, whatever the case might be, you can always ask them to do so. The ordinance says they don't have to, then it's something for them to decide if they want it. But you can always make the recommendation that you think it would be wise to do X, Y, and Z, and so that they hear that.
And then that's negotiated between the developer and who, the supervisors?
I mean, ultimately, it would be you as a board, because they want to get your recommendation. So you have the power to say, we really want to see this, and let them come back to you and say, you can't do it because X, Y, Z, or we don't want to do it, or whatever the case might be. They'll come back to you to try to satisfy. Usually the developer will try to satisfy any comments, if they're reasonable comments. And then you can make the recommendations. Hopefully they incorporate that into a plan, and you would make a recommendation with those things in it to the supervisor. And something like this, I would expect probably 2 meetings, just because it's big enough, you're gonna review it, there'll be some issues, they'll go back and determine what those.
Okay. Next item on our agenda is our 2026 meeting dates. I have made changes that we, some of the problems we had with the fall holidays, so I proposed a few new dates on the in the year change, sent them back out. I've heard from some of you that there's still a date or two that perhaps you can't make, I think we can work around that. So if we're all in favor of the calendar scheduled meeting dates that I put out, then look for a
I think
motion.
for the most part, you figure that for the majority, if there's gonna be, people's gonna be on vacation, whatever, but you can't, you're not gonna be able to satisfy every date for every person, so it's as long as.
I just wanted to get something on the calendar that most people could make forecasting for 1 year. So
It's just, the only thing I saw, and I think pointed out to you, is the meetings would be back to back on most months. It'll be the last week of the month, then you're gonna go into the first week of the next month with that. So that's the only thing that I saw.
Keep in mind, once the ordinances are done, you'll be back to 1 meeting a month. So it may be that you won't even have like the whole year, but it's better to advertise it.
I don't actually mind a back-to-back with stuff to work right now.
Yeah.
Because you spend a couple weeks
I think it's
between,
coming.
and you're like, people are spending half the time just hearing all we talked about 2 weeks ago. So I like that idea of being back-to-back right now.
okay, good.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, motion. Got a motion to approve this.
I move to approve the meeting dates for 2026.
Second motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. I guess the next step for that is the supervisors will vote on that, approve our meeting dates, correct?
Yes, you'll put it in your minutes and the supervisors will, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't
Yeah.
approve it, but they have to look at it and approve it.
And then we'll post that on our website also.
It'll be posted on the website as well as being advertised.
Mhm.
As they advertise in the newspaper.
Old business, log cabin in land development plan, time extension requested. Do we vote on that? We don't have to, just, they've requested a time extension, we're gonna grant that. Township's gonna grant that.
Correct. They requested a time extension. They have a different consultant working on things. They have talked to PennDOT. They're going to make improvements so that you don't have a free-for-all coming out, which I think is going to be an improvement. They didn't seem to really have too many big requests with that, no major issues. I think it's going to work out well, so they're just working through those details. And, but they just need some time to put that plan together. So I think it'll be a pretty good plan in the next time.
Just a highway copies.
Yeah, it could make a big difference down there
Yeah.
for traffic control.
Safety.
safety.
Yeah, having one entrance and one exit or something.
Pretty much they're gonna have two instead of the openness, yeah. It's there now, so that'll be a dramatic improvement. It doesn't really impact how it is set up now. They're not gonna lose a lot of parking. They're just gonna put some berms up. We've been up to like Rachel's and Mercer, they've done something similar on a smaller scale, so it'll be something similar to that.
Okay, good. And then, old business subdivision and zoning ordinances, based on time of the night, and we're missing some of our key, planning commission members. Most of the comments were Bob's, and this is a holiday week, so I'm going to, forgo that until our next workshop meeting. So that
Can I
brings
ask you a
us,
question? I'm sorry,
Sure.
do you typically make a motion, and just your customary course of practice, do you typically make a motion to approve the extension and table the plan, or what do you don't usually? Okay, I have some people that do, some people that don't, that's fine. Figured I'd ask.
The ordinance doesn't mandate that, nor does the MPC that there's.
I have belt and suspenders people, and I just wanted you to do the same way you always do it, so sounds good to me.
As long as they provide the letter and it's tracked by the office.
Tom, did it drop all the extra parking they're talking?
They're gonna lose a few in the front of the building, but they're gonna be converted to ADA. So they're gonna have essentially where the north parking is, they're gonna have an entrance, and where the south parking is, they're gonna have an entrance, and that's it.
They'll lose the ones that are right along the guardrail.
But they're not gonna add any new parking to accommodate the new addition.
No, they do have, per your ordinance, they do have plenty of parking, so.
okay, next item, agenda item 8, public comment on anything that is not on the agenda, anything we talked about tonight, or anything you guys want to bring up. Sure.
Super quick and quick and easy, but yeah, I don't think I've been to one of these meetings since May. Since then, we got a zoning exception for the variance, for our 6-foot fence, because we live in the village district that currently limits to a 4-foot fence. So I just wanted to give a reminder as you guys are reviewing all of the ordinances to change and what have you, that 4-foot fences are nothing. Especially privacy fences, completely defeats the purpose. So just wanted to bring that up again, and yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
bringing
we do
that
have
up.
that on our radar.
That's on our radar. We're talking about that.
That's what I like to hear.
It never hurts to remind us.
I'm just out of curiosity, what would you all think if we did away with the zoning district? Just
The village district is
the village district.
I can tell you our neighbors would love that.
Yeah.
They're very displeased to be in a village.
It would just be the mixed use, the same, the entire corridor.
It is already the next use, the entire corridor.
Right.
It is, but it's weird because it is village as well, it's just in this one little area.
Double overlay, yeah.
I know there's like 20 ways out, it's like 1,500 feet, right, Tom?
Mhm.
On both sides. So it goes down, being down, East Lancaster quite a ways.
But the village district actually goes past East Lancaster. I think right to your house.
Right past our house, right north.
Yeah. Yeah, so it is pretty extensive. I mean, that's
So
up to
anyhow-
you guys.
Yeah, that's something we're kicking around in our last meeting, haven't really landed anywhere, but since some of you are affected by that, I thought I'd just ask.
Yeah, at the village, some of the restrictions I think are ridiculous.
Like 4 foot.
Yeah, the 4-foot fence.
There's that one, I think there's a few others, I can't remember the off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And honestly, I didn't even realize it was changed until it came up.
Oh, that was changed back, that was when I was here 25 years ago.
It was changed in 15.
Is that what it was?
Okay, well, we haven't decided on anything yet, but it's something we're thinking about. Anybody else have comments, Mike?
No, this one, it's stop on it.
Okay.
Congratulations, Mike, I missed the last meeting. Congratulations on the
All right, so with that, I'm gonna look for a motion to adjourn. Here, wait a
I
second.
second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank